What's up, guys? We're here. This is the Boss Pedal Project official first episode, frequently asked questions. I'm so happy we're at this point that people care. It was my goal all along for you guys to enjoy this and to, get into all the demos and just to have fun with all this stuff. Once again, I'm recording on my iPad. It's just easier for me to see what I'm filming. I spend all my money on Boss pedals, so I do not have great camera equipment. And as of filming, actually, all the amps are inverted, so Soldano's backwards over there, and Fender and PV. So I'm hoping that by the time I edit this, or I'm probably not going to edit this much at all, if at all, it'll be right side and not reversed. So it's like I'm looking in a mirror. Anyway, let's get on with it. I have some questions from YouTube and from Reddit, which is great. To have multiple sources of people who care, which is awesome. I just really enjoy doing this, guys. So keep the questions coming. We'll do future episodes if you guys keep asking questions. So first question, I just have pieces of paper here. I'm just going to go down the list. Okay, here we go. First question by Iggy Tommy. I think this is YouTube. Do you have an original moniker DF2? I do. Right here, and once again, this may be reversed depending on. Let's just hope I get this fixed. But this is, when he says original moniker, that means the super distortion and feedbacker, as opposed to the super feedbacker distortion and distortion, whatever they call it. And yes, I do. It's a little bit more rare because apparently DiMarzio fought a lawsuit against Boss or Roland for because they had a patent on the title super distortion. So, but yeah, it's one of the first reviews I did, actually, because it was kind of a unique pedal. Never played it before until the review, and it's pretty cool. I think Kurt Cobain might have gotten famous for it. I might be thinking of the turbo distortion, but it's a cool pedal nonetheless. And the version with the first name, the pre-lawsuit version, goes for a little bit more usually. He also asked what are my favorite 5 compact Boss pedals. Now that list sort of changes. As I try, do more reviews, I can kind of dig deeper in the pedals and really make those decisions. This question's been asked a lot, but I would say probably the CS2 compressor I like a lot. I like the PH1R phaser. I like, as you guys know, I like the SD2, which is the dual overdrive pedal. And I hope I'm not mixing these names up because I'll feel like an idiot. I also like, was it top 5? Okay, so that's what, 3? I'm gonna have to put the vibrato in there just because it's so unique, I like the vibrato a lot, the VB2. And I have to put a delay in there, so I'm gonna have to put either the DM2, which is the analog delay, or an honorable mention. Well, I'd probably say I use this more, which would be either the DD2 or the original Japanese DD3, which had the long chip, which is the same thing as the DD2, or the DSD2 or DSD3, which also has that same long chip with some added functionality. So, a long chip delay, I guess I'll say. Okay, some of the older pedals have, this is T. Lyle. Okay, I think he's basically just saying that some of the older pedals have an adjustable potentiometer. Have I tweaked them? I have not. I think you need to really be careful when you tweak those. Some pedals, like the DM2, the VB2, will have a little a couple white potentiometers. You can adjust some of the internal settings. You want to be careful about this because there's a sort of a spec that the pedal wants to live in, I think. And if you've noticed, if you have these pedals and there should be like a little bit of a greenish kind of glue paint substance that's on there to kind of tell you that it hasn't been tampered with. Make sure that it has not been tampered with. And if it sounds funny and that's gone, maybe it has, so you can maybe, I don't know, you send it off to somebody who knows what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing with that kind of stuff, so I have a good guy that I've kind of worked with, sort of do a little advertising for him, named Nick Winard. He owns Mod Jobs and he does all my pedals. So if you have that situation, I think sending it to him or somebody like that would be great. Okay, Ole region hook. My reading for other language, other place names is terrible, so forgive me, man. Will you try out the older pedals like the CE1, BF1, DB5, and DM1? Those are prior to the compact pedals. When I say I'm gonna try to collect all the Boss compact pedals, I mean all these ones right here, all the small size ones. Man, it'd be a much more expensive undertaking if I tried out those two, maybe in the future, but as of now I'm going to stick to the compact ones because, well, let's face it, those are expensive, and you know, this is already an expensive enough thing. So moving on. Alright, PRS Dave 22 asked, which one of these pedals would always make it onto my pedal board? I'm a pretty, you know, I'm collecting all these pedals, but to be honest, man, I don't really have onto my pedal board for my band. I'm pretty simple. I just like to have like a delay, some sort of modulation, like prefer like a phaser, like a Phase 45. That's my go-to phaser. Delay that, and then if I need a overdrive, just maybe like the SD2. But if I had to choose one pedal, it would definitely be a delay pedal because I love delay for solos. Once again, I'm going with either the DD2, the long chip DD3, or the DSD2 or DSD3. So one of those, I just say, like, once again, long chip Japanese delay. Good question. Ryan Miller, buddy of mine, he asks, what is the pedal that surprised me the most? What pedals suck the most? And when will you show me how to play the Dark Dreamer solo? Last question, I'll answer first. Hopefully soon. I meant to do that tutorial, but you know, life happens, and I gotta do that for you. So, but the other two questions, the pedal that surprised me the most, I would say a lot of the overdrives. To be honest, now that I think about it, Boss overdrives are not really known to be, I guess, you know, the crowd favorite, so to speak. You know, usually boutique will win over in popular opinion. But I think a lot has to do with how you use it, and I really like Boss overdrive pedals and distortion pedals as a boost in front of an already dirty amp as opposed to on a clean channel, and I think you get the most out of the pedal and the amp if you do it that way. So I highly recommend you do that. So I just say pedal that surprised me the most, pretty much any of the drive pedals. They all have a place, in my opinion. I mean, you can make the metal zone sound good if you tweak it enough, you know. So it just goes to show that it's the application versus the pedal really that determines the overall end result, in my opinion. Okay, what pedals suck the most? I should have I need to read my reviews again, man. What pedals suck the most? Well, I just reviewed the Extortion, and that pedal is hard to get it. I mean, in front of a clean amp, that pedal is terrible, in my opinion. But with some tweaking, I can get that pedal to sound pretty good, not great. So I'm going to have to probably just say the Extortion, you know. And I was pretty disappointed with the, of course now it escapes me, with the slow gear. I was pretty disappointed. It just didn't do it for me, man. And maybe it's just, it was user error. But I just wasn't a big fan of it. Didn't have the long of a swell effect as I had hoped for. Granted, the pedal was, I think, made in either the very late 70s or very early 80s. So really old technology. So, you know. So that one, or those two. What is the weirdest, most out? I think Ryan also asked this. What is the weirdest, most out there effect they have? Even if it's setting on a regular pedal, like I know the FH. The PH3 is cool, has a cool step function, and the BF3 has a pan, something like a step. Okay. Weirdest, most out there effect is probably, of the ones I've tried, has probably got to be the PS2. The variable pitch shifter on that pedal is really wacky, and it's hard to make it musical just because it's hard to lock into a musical interval because it's continuously variable with the potentiometer. And I guess also the PS3 The pitch shift or delay has a lot of weird effects on there if you mess with. And I haven't done that review for a reason, because it's going to take a long time to go through all the sounds. So I'm saving some of these pedals for later. But like you said, the PH3 has a really cool step function. It's just the last mode. And we'll get to that when we get to it. Which one of the overdrives sounds closest to the crunch channel on the dual overdrive? This was asked by Alberto. Great name, like Alberto, but Alberto, like the bear. His question, so which pedal sounds most like the overdrive or the crunch channel? Oh, the crunch channel of the dual overdrive. So the channel I don't like that much. I think pretty much any of the overdrives will work for that side, which is the light gain side, and probably do a better job. But I think as a substitute in general, I like the OD3. It's a great pedal. It reminds me a lot of the SD2. So OD3 all the way. So if I had to say what is my next favorite OD3, OD1's also good, but it almost has like a tube screamer, like a sort of tonality, except for the very first ones, which have the big chip, which is, I know it's a whole other thing with the chips, and I do not have one of those yet. I'd like to get one and compare it to I have a couple later model OD1s. Okay, the Blues Monk asked, have you actually played all of them, or have been some purchased, somebody to add to the collection? I've played them all to some degree, but I have not played them at length, not all of them. I'm kind of waiting. I like to kind of wait to review them. When I do a review, I typically sit down with the pedal for as long as it takes me to kind of get to know all the different sounds and nooks and crannies, all that good stuff. So to answer your question, I have not played all of them for as long as I would have liked to have played them yet, but I will get to them all. So a lot of my opinions at this moment, take that with a grain of salt, in the sense that I haven't tried all the pedals, haven't given them all their due so far. But I mean, there's some pedals I'll probably never play again, to be totally honest with you. Like, I can't see myself playing Extortion ever again. And in a way, it's kind of stupid to own that and not ever play it again. So maybe my collection will last for a while, and maybe it'll end up being sold. At least I'll sell the ones I don't want. But I want to at least have a collection of all the Boss pedals at one point, just because I think it's a fun idea. All right, moving on. Okay, I get this question a lot. What does it sound like when they're all on at the same time? So it probably sounds horrible, but I don't have enough patch cables or 9-volt batteries to do so. But I think David Byrne from Talking Heads fame is famous for having an art exhibit with all the Boss pedals up to a certain point, and you can actually turn them all on at once. So there's a YouTube video of that. You should look up David Byrne Boss pedals. Okay. Okay. Another favorite Boss pedal question. We've already talked about that. I have a Boss PW2 power driver. This is from Jake DC. I like it for some limited things. Do you think it deserves its terrible reputation? I don't. It's kind of like a fuzz pedal to me. That reminds me, the FZ2 should have been my favorite pedals, but that would have been number 6. I don't think it's terrible. It is actually kind of rare. They didn't make a whole lot of them, and it does sound good for kind of fuzz stuff. Think Smashing Pumpkins, and that'll kind of get you in the territory where I think it lives and works the best. So no, it doesn't deserve its terrible reputation. It's once again its application. Ned Flanders says, do you have any favorite modified versions of Boss pedals? Maybe even some honorable mentions. Well, I gotta admit, Mr. Flanders, I've only owned a couple. I've owned just Keeley modded pedals. I've owned the Keeley modded SD1 or DS1 rather, and also the SD1 at some point. I like those both. This is way back in maybe 2008 before I even had conceived this project. So I can't really compare them to stuff now. And I actually currently own a Keeley modded tremolo, which I love, and I think they did a great job assessing the volume loss or the volume drop, which I'll talk about that. So And I've actually played the Blues Driver modded by Keeley, and that was amazing as well. So those are the ones I've tried. Of the 4 that I have tried, I've preferred the Tremolo and then the Keeley modded Blues Driver. Ned also asked, I noticed in some of the schematics that the bypass circuit can be different for each model. Have you noticed if any of the models have a different, weaker, or stronger sounding bypass than others? I have not noticed that. I feel like I have a pretty good ear, but I don't really get into the bypass stuff. True bypass, buffered, I don't really care. As long as the bypass signal doesn't cause me to lose a whole lot, I'm good to go. And like I said, I don't use a whole lot of pedals at once in my rig, in front of my amp or anything. So I'm not the one to ask. There are some people out there that are much more involved in that kind of stuff than I am. You know. So to answer your question, no, I have not really noticed any sort of bypass difference that I can really talk about at the moment. Okay, and we have one more question for this evening, this beautiful Wednesday evening. What is the function of the trigger in on the DSD2 and the DSD3? Is there much of a difference between the digital sampler delay and the DD3? The trigger in function, it allows you, we're actually going to get to that with those pedals, but it has to do with the record, stop, start function. I don't want to ruin it for you, so that'll probably be one of the ones I try out pretty soon. Is there much difference between the digital sampler delay and the DD3? They're exactly the same, save for a couple functions. Although the DSD2 and the DSD3 have, I think they all have the long chip, which is the more sought after one. So you can snag those, definitely snag those, and they're more rare. I'll take that over. I'll take one of those pedals, and you can sub it with a DD2, which is probably more expensive across the board because it has that name, the DD2, or a Japanese DD3. So once again, we're going back to the long chip delay pedals that are made in Japan, which are all awesome. And actually, I take it back. I have one more question, and I've been asked this a lot. I just don't have it. It has not been asked for my FAQ. But what guitar do I use in the video? Well, I use this beautiful Switchback Country Boy. I'm sorry, Switchback Miura, and you'll see it in the video. But here it is. It's kind of based on a Fender Jaguar, I think, or a Jazzmaster sort of body, and it has, you know, P90 in the neck, which I love, humbucker on the bridge, tremolo. I actually lost the tremolo at a gig, so I'm not using it at the moment. For Baby Blue or Sonic Blue, just a great guitar. The guy's name is Mike Package, coolest name ever. But he's a great guy, great to work with, so look up Switchback Guitar Works on Google. He has a Facebook page. I'll put a link in the description. So check him out. Awesome guitars and great guy. Well, I really appreciate you guys sending in questions for the first frequently asked questions of the Boss Pedal project. I'd like to do this again if you guys will have me. And we can maybe change the format around. I'm just kind of doing this. I have a free couple hours before I have to go back in to teach tomorrow. So I'm just doing this really down and dirty with the iPad and no editing. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. And I look forward to more questions, doing more Boss Pedal reviews, and one day acquiring the Holy Grail that I do not have, which is the Spectrum. And I need some money for that. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon. Take care.